Ron McCoy, caught in a swirling maze of past and future ages, is now about to plunge into a new and history-laden adventure.
Here I am at the site of what used to be Woolco. Yes, there were Woolco stores in the area of Kansas City. This is along 291 highway, but Woolco actually started as Woolworths.
Woolworth's in the 1960s was an institution, not just a store, the heart of downtown retail, the democratic marketplace where everyone could afford something.
I'm here at 39th and Main, the location of the first Woolworth store in Kansas City. Five and dime stores played an influential role in American culture during the first half of the 20th century, and Woolworth dominated the industry during that time. The chain opened in 1879 when Frank Winfield Woolworth opened a Notion store in Pennsylvania. He pioneered retail precedents that continue today, such as purchasing merchandising directly from manufacturers in bulk and establishing fixed prices on all items, 5 or 10 cents. He also placed merchandise out on display for the public to view, select, and purchase.
The layout was organized but packed. There were long aisles with merchandise displayed in open bins or behind glass. The aisles were narrow enough that two people had to turn sideways to pass. The store felt full of merchandise, of people or activity.
Commonly, stores kept items behind counters so that customers had to ask clerks to select items, and then they would bargain over the price. Woolworth also served as the first retailer to install a lunch counter so that the store became a gathering place for social and business encounters. After the initial success of his store in Pennsylvania, Woolworth and his brother Charles S. Woolworth opened a large number of five and dimes. The Woolworth Company established multiple stores in selected large cities, primarily in their central business districts and in suburban middle-class commercial districts at locations with high pedestrian traffic near significant streetcar lines. Woolworth's success led to other five and dime stores opening so that the format evolved into a fixture of America's commercial culture, mainly for the middle class. In 1911, the F.W. Woolworth Company incorporated 6 five and dime stores. By the time Woolworth died in 1919, his chain had grown to 1,081 stores in the United States and Canada. Despite Kansas City's population falling below Woolworth Company's minimum threshold, the company chose to invest in Kansas City due to the high volume of pedestrian traffic at the city's streetcar transfer points. Indeed, Woolworth operated more than 700 stores nationwide, with the vast majority of them in cities with populations double that of Kansas City. Erected in 1927 to 1928, the Woolworth building stood as one of the 3 secondary suburban Woolworth stores in Kansas City, the only dime store in the city to operate multiple locations during the 1920s. The store faced the city's main commercial corridor within its fast-growing ward The ward supported 32,495 residents by 1930, a 127.5% increase over the previous decade. And at one time, there was a Woolworth's located at the corner of Nichols and Pennsylvania in the plaza.
Familiar and welcoming to downtown shoppers, large windows showcased merchandise and seasonal decorations, catching the eye of anyone passing by. The entrance usually had double doors with brass handles worn smooth by thousands of hands. Walking through the doors meant entering a specific world. The smell hit you first. Coffee from the lunch counter, popcorn from the snack area, the scent of new merchandise, floor wax on wooden boards. The combination was Woolworth's and nothing else.
Woolworths not only served cities as general retail outlets, but the stores also served as a social meeting place, such as each store included a lunch counter. During the early 1960s, downtown Woolworth stores became the center of challenges to segregation. Suburban locations were also significant to the social history of neighborhoods, like here in the plaza, as their lunch counters were gathering places for residents of Kansas City's middle-class neighborhoods.
The lunch counter dominated one side of the store. Red vinyl stools were bolted to the floor. A long formica-trimmed counter ran the length of the wall. Behind the counter, waitresses in white uniforms served simple American food, including grilled cheese, hamburgers, pie, and coffee. The lunch counter was more than food service. It was a community institution.
In addition to the Woolworths Company model of selling general merchandise at fixed prices and establishing each store as a meeting place, usually at the lunch counter, Woolworth generally paid better wages than most of its competitors, routinely hired women, introduced minimum wages for positions, offered paid vacations, and provided Christmas bonuses, all unique for the early 20th century. In 1932, during the Great Depression, the company raised its top prices from 10 cents to 20 cents, and in 1935, the controlled pricing ended altogether when the store began selling higher-priced merchandise, such as furniture and appliances. In the 1940s, the Woolworths chain was the nation's largest food service retailer with almost 1,000 lunch counters. In the 1960s, the five and dime model evolved into the larger discount stores. In September 1961, Woolworth announced its selection of Columbus, Ohio as the location of the first Woolco store. Woolworth chairman Robert C. Kirkwood explained his rationale to the press. Columbus, with its tremendous growth potential and long-range plans for continuing industrial development, is an ideal location to make our entry into the low-profit mass merchandising field. Low profit was a standard industry term among discounters in those days. Within a 5-month span in 1962, the modern discount store industry was born. In March, S.S. Kresge Company opened the first Kmart store in Garden City, Michigan. In May, the first Target store was opened in Roseville, Minnesota by the Dayton Company, an old-time Minneapolis department store firm. In June, F.W. Woolworth Company opened the first of its Woolco discount department stores in Columbus, Ohio. And yes, there was one more. In July, an Arkansas-based Ben Franklin franchisee opened something called a Walmart, as he would later put it. Few people outside his home state would hear about that guy for years, though.
336 Woolco stores will close across the country, including the 5 in Tidewater. The reason for the shutdown? Massive losses. $19 million last year, $21 million the first 6 months of 1982. News of the closings came as a real shock to the employees at the Woolco store here in the Kempsville section of Virginia Beach. They say business here has grown steadily since the store opened 2.5 years ago. That this Woolco was making money. Darnice Fogelsong heard the news from a friend.
I didn't believe it, I just thought it was some kind of rumor or something, but it's true.
Assistant manager Ken Gregg has been with Woolco 10 years.
I started with them before I got out of high school, and I've stayed with them ever since, and through what I thought was the worst of times, and through what I thought was going to be the best of times, into what has turned out to be the worst time.
Customers we talked to were sad to hear that Woolco was going out of business. New Yorker Lillian Seaton comes here each time she visits her daughter in Tidewater. So what are you going to do when you come down here now instead of shopping at Woolco?
Cry. Cry. Really and true. That's truthful. I'm not kidding you. I'm not just pulling your leg.
Customers will have Woolco around for a few more months. The stores won't close, say company officials, until early next year. In Virginia Beach, Joel Rubin, The Daily News.
The name Woolco, incidentally, wasn't new at all. It had served as a Woolworth private brand name since at least the 1920s, featured on everything from sewing supplies to 78 RPM records to tins of candy. Most often, it happened in the form of an elongated diamond logo, later adapted and modified for use as an early logo for the discount stores, where it was displayed prominently on interior signage.
Ron McCoy now tumbles helplessly toward a new, fantastic adventure, somewhere beyond the infinite corridors of time. But where will he land this time? Be sure to watch the next thrilling edition of Time Warped to discover where Ron McCoy lands next.